It's a little less now because of all the budget cutbacks. But normally it's $52 to $54 billion a year in the state of California that we spend on public education, K through 14. And what are the results we've gotten? Just what I've told you about. Students aren't prepared to go to college. They have to spend billions of more dollars, again, being remediated. What kind of return on investment are we getting on that? Very, very poor. You would not invest in a company or anything that had that kind of a track record, would you? That only 43% of the people are ready to go when we're spending that kind of money? But yet, year in and year out, we keep doing the same thing over and over again. And the thing about charter schools, it's caused the public schools, in all honesty, it's really helped in Escondido. Because in all honesty, they had to compete a little bit because they were losing students to our school. That caused them to take a look at themselves and say, And that was the purpose behind the charter. They were hoping, by freeing us up, that if we were successful, that the regular public schools would say, well, wait a minute, they're doing this and they're doing that. They don't have to have all these rules and regulations. And they're freeing their teachers up to be innovative and to challenge students and to do things differently. They were hoping the public school system would then also get on board and start making those changes. And at Escondido, they've made a few changes because of that competition. But statewide, it just hasn't happened. You know what they've done? They've incrementally, over the last 16 years that I've been in the business, in the charter school business, and over the 20 years that we've had the charter school movement, they've incrementally put us right back in that same educational box. They've added more rules and regulations to us. They keep putting us right back into that ed code stuff. Originally, when we started charter schools, the teachers didn't even have to have a credential. And in all honesty, when I started, I didn't take one teacher that had already been in the system because I didn't want that mentality, that system mentality. I hired a bunch of young people because if they're really bright and they're passionate about what they're doing and they care about kids, you can teach them all the other stuff if they know their subject area. And that's what I did. I started out with a bunch of people that didn't have credentials. Now, eventually, the teachers' unions didn't like that. So they required, after 5 years of the charter movement, that, well, everybody's got to have a credential because they wanted them in the teachers' union. Again, we decided not to go union. I just wanted to get away from that. And we've been very successful in doing that. So there's a couple things about the charter school. Again, a couple of quick things about our philosophy. And I'm not saying our philosophy is the only way to do things, because the neat thing about charter schools, there's fine arts charter schools, there's vocational charter schools, there's dual immersion charter schools. There's all kinds of different philosophies and ideas. But what does that present out there to the parents? It gives them options. If you like that philosophy and you like what they're doing and what they stand for, go ahead, send your sons and daughters to that school. And so I like the fact that there's a lot of different things going on in the charter school movement that does give parents flexibility as to where they send their sons and daughters. And our whole philosophy, that I could just sum it up again, reading, writing, and math. Because in all honesty, if you teach them how to read, you teach them how to write, and that's a skill that's being lost, obviously, wearing out their thumbs, but you watch what they're writing and stuff like that. So we really emphasize reading, writing, and math, especially at the K-8 schools and also into our high school. In fact, we have an extra writing class for all of our students. We have a regular English class that we have to teach, but we also have a writing class that every student has to take. We have an extra math class because once again, if you get the reading, writing, and the math down, all the other subjects are going to fall into place. And all the stats are shown in there. You can ignore almost science and history and those type of things. We don't, but you can almost ignore those and still teach those and spend more time reading, writing, and math. And what they show is, if you have those skills down, you still do just as well on the science tests, the math test, the history tests, and things like that. It's because they have those basic fundamentals that are going to help them to be successful and be able to think and improve their quality of their education. Our philosophy, again, the other thing that we're proud of is we make sure our students have an appreciation for what this country was founded on. And that's another skill that's being lost. There are statistics out there that show that only 12% of our graduating seniors have an understanding of our history. And you look at the history books that are out there today, they don't even talk about Washington or Lincoln or any of those. It's all about new people coming in. We're getting into the more diversified history of our country. We're changing the history of our country. We still have Veterans Day Assembly. Today we had Lincoln, because tomorrow we're off. Today we had every single one of our classes, 9 through 12, study Lincoln, his character, what he stood for. They need to study our past heroes, the people that made this country great. Because if they don't understand those things, we're going to lose what this country was all about. This generation here, some of us older ones in here, we appreciate those sacrifices that have been made. But the students growing up today, they're not hearing those things. I'll tell you, in our K-8 school, in our high school, they're going to have an understanding of the sacrifices that have been made so that they can be proud of what this country stands for. It's not perfect. We don't have all the answers, but I'll tell you, we've had people that have been willing to sacrifice to make sure that we have these freedoms. And if we don't pass it on to the next generation, folks, we're going to lose that. And you know the battles we're in right now. Because you're involved, you know, as Tea Party members, you know that we're about to lose our country, how important the election's going to be and things like that. But we believe that our students need to have an appreciation of what this country was founded on. So we have Veterans Day. We have a Patriots Day. We have a Memorial Day celebration. So we bring speakers in. We've had World War II veterans in to speak to our students because we wanted to have that appreciation and things like that. To me, that's one of the most important things that we do at Escondido Charter High School, is to pass on to the next generation those important qualities and the things about our country. And those are things we're proud of. So again, the charter movement, I'm not saying it's the answer for everything. There's been a lot of charter schools closed down, and they should have been, because they weren't doing the job, and that's the way it should be. You should go out of business. But when's the last time you saw one of our public schools closed down? Doing a poor job? Have you heard of one? I haven't. And that's what we need. Because you only get so many times with those students. And you got to take advantage of every opportunity. Put a great quality teacher in front of those students, you're going to have success. And I'm going to stop there and take some questions. Just one more comment. Our K-8 school, just to brag a little bit, they did a University of Southern California did a study of all 800 elementary schools in the state of California, charter schools. The #1 ranked charter school in the state of California was our Heritage K-8 charter school. Not because of me, not because of certain individuals, but as a team, believing in what we were there for, the purpose of what we were there for, and staying focused on that, and not being distracted by the union stuff and all the other things going around, staying focused on what you're in business for. The old saying, if you don't know what you stand for, you fall for anything. We know what we stand for, and we're all on the same team. So being rated the #1 charter school in the state of California was a big honor for us. And our high school, as